Hello guys, welcome to my channel Tech Bulletin Prime. I am Rajnikant and today's video we're gonna discuss Spring Boot CRUD application with data JPA and H2 in memory database, right? So if you have not subscribed my channel yet, please do subscribe it and hit the bell icon to get all the notification, right? So let's begin. So H2 is a lightweight database which is developed with Java. And when should we go for H2 database? So whenever we are doing some POCs or doing some prototype, right? So that time, if you are going for a database like MySQL and Oracle, lot of configuration we need to do, right? So that time we can go for this kind of in-memory database. So S2 can be either in memory or it can be client server based, right? So let's create our application. So we'll go for a starter project, file, new, then here we go, Spring starter project. So first application name will give Spring Boot CRUD, JPA and H2, right? So this type is Maven. You can choose Maven and packaging style jar and Java version based on your installation in your system. You can choose either 8, 11, 15, whatever. Then group ID, it should be a unique identifier name. Then description, it's already there, Spring Boot CRUD example with data JPA and H2 in memory database. Package, will take this package com.tbp.crud, right? So here we go to next. So what are the dependencies we required for this application? First of all, we required Spring Web. Let me select this Spring Web. Then we'll choose Lombok. So to get rid of those annoying getters and setters, we can choose Lombok. So that will take the advantage. And H2 database we need to choose because here we require that embedded H2 database. Then Spring Data JPA obviously for persistence layer, right? So let's move to next. Let's finish. So it will take some time to generate that project. So let's wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah, it's almost done. Okay, so here we go. So this is the application got generated. Let me check that main class. Yeah, main class is there. You can see here. So Spring Boot application, this is that annotations annotated with that main class, which is that which is important annotation. So let me create a package. So we'll start from entity class, right? So first we'll create a package, entity, right? This entity class will be act as a model, so which will bind the data and will store into the database, right? Let me create a class, entity class. So let's take this class as a user. Okay, so let's finish. Let's create some attributes for this user. So private int id, private string, sorry, private string name, and private string address. Okay, here we go. Will not take much attributes. So here we'll annotate with data annotation, which is from Lombok. So we'll get rid of those getters, setters, and all those stuff. So we'll take all our constructor and no our constructor. Okay, here we go. Then here we'll take, sorry, and on the top of that class we can annotate at the entity to make this as a model, and on top of this id we'll mark this as a primary key, right? So here id annotation will put, and on top of that one we can put what is that generated value, right? So generated value, what it will do, so what is that I mean how it will generate that value, right? So a lot of things are there for this one. So sequence, table, and auto. So by default, if you're not providing anything, then it will take auto, right? So I have done with this entity class. Let's create a repository. I mean, it's a DAO layer. So let's first create the package for that one. File, new package. Where is package? Here we go. And dot DAO. Okay. So here we'll go for that repository. Let me create an interface for that one. So user repository. Then let's add one interface. JPA repository is already there, you can see here. Let me add it here. Okay, so let's finish. Right, so here in the generic type we can pass that a model object, sorry, model. So and that primary key data type, right? So we took as an integer, so let me put integer here. Yes, we have done for this one. Let's create that service layer from where we'll call this DAO layer, right? So first we'll create a package for service layer as well. Dot service. So service package is done. Let me create one class for the service. So user service, right? So here we go. Let me annotate this service class which at the red service, which is a stereotype annotation. So I will cover these annotations in one more video where I will provide all those annotation and their working principles or when to use those things. Yeah, so service annotations we have added. So in the service we want the DAO layer object, right? So that repository we want it here. So we need to inject that one, right? So user repository, where is that user repository? This one, user repository, right? So we'll take this one as a small and we'll declare this one as a private, right? Here we go, and we'll auto wire this one so that it will inject, right? Auto wired. Let's create different methods for those CRUD application. First we'll create a user. So public user add create user. Okay, so here we go, and here we'll receive this user, no user, sorry, what happened? Control Z. Oh my god, control Y. So user control shift O, so that will import that user here. Okay, we have imported. Then with this repository we'll call that method, right? So here return, then control B dot save, right? Save, and here we can pass this user object. Done. So for create user done, right? Then let's copy paste this one and we'll create multiple users, right? So here this should be a list of users, and with this one we'll put it here as a list of user, right? And put as a users. Here we can modify that method as a list of users. Let's do Control Shift O to import this list from util. You should be import this java.util.list, otherwise you will end up with exceptions. So here we go and done, right? So here it should be save all, right? And here we have done this one, right? So individual user, multiple user we have created, right? So let's go for a get, right? Let me write a method public user get user by id. Here we go, and we'll pass here as a integer, right? That id should be integer, int id. And here we'll copy this one, we'll paste it here, right? the dot get user, sorry, find by id, find by id, right? So here that id is there. So what it is returning, it's optional. So dot or else returning null. So here you can customize. If it's null, you can throw an exception that no user found, but will not do, will return null. You can do that one as well. If no users found, you can write a custom exception, you can throw that one. Let's find get all users, get users, right? And here we don't require any param because anyhow we'll return all the users from the database, right? So here find all, and it should be list of users, right? So it will return multiple users, no, right? So that time, so that's why we'll return multiple users here. So get single user by id, get multiple users we have done. Then let's write for an update, right? Update and delete. So public user update user, and here we go, we'll receive the user. So in data JPA there is no direct method for update. So what we'll do first, we'll get that existing user by id, then we'll update that then we'll update and we'll save, right? So first what we'll do, first we'll create a variable user where we'll receive that old user, where we'll receive that existing user, right? So user repository dot find by id, and here we'll pass that id. So first here we'll receive that object, sorry, user dot get id. So we'll receive that object as it will return optional, so we can put it here. If nothing is returning, we'll provide null, or else directly you can do like this is also fine, but else you can do like this, optional, optional user, optional user, and here from here we'll remove this one, right? It will store in the optional. Then we can do like this, is present, if dot is present. This in this way also we can do, if that way. Okay, if present means what we'll do with this, sorry, optional dot get, will receive that user old user equal to optional user dot get, right? So here we'll get the user, then what we'll do, we'll update that user, right? Old user dot set name, then old user dot set address, right? Set address, and from this updated user we'll set those things, user dot get name and user dot get address, okay. So here you go, and at the end what we'll do, old user, sorry, this user repository dot save, and we can pass this updated user, right? We have set, we already set those values to this old user, right, to this object. Then we can store this one. Else what we can do, return no user found. Sorry, you can return an empty user, right? New user. Okay, so here we're done. Return user got updated. No, we'll not return this one. We'll return this old user, right? So that updated user will return. Okay, so here we have done this updated. Then let's go for delete one, right? So this old user, it's not able to resolve a variable, right? So let's take this old user at a method level. And then let's remove this one. Okay, so we have done this update user. Then let's write a method for deleting the user, right? So public string delete, delete user, or remove user, it will be, no, delete user, delete user. Then here by id, and here we'll pass that id is integer, and here user repository dot delete, delete by id, and this id already we have passed, right? Then we can return from here one string user got deleted, right? So we have done the entire thing we have done. Let's move to controllers, right? So let me create a package for controller as well. DAO.controller, controller. Sorry, this DAO is should remove, right? CRUD.controller. Yeah, here we go. Let's create a controller for this one. Public class user, sorry, user controller. Here we go. We should annotate this class with @REST controller, as we are developing this REST services, and it will return the JSON data as a response. So let's first create a post method for this adding a user. So public user add user, right? And here we go. Let's put a annotation @request body, right? And user, right? So here we'll receive that user in that body, and it will bind to that model class, right? So we'll receive the JSON data, user JSON data, and with this @request body, it will bind this to this model class, right? And here we go, and we'll annotate with @post mapping, and we'll add a URL slash add user, right? So here we go, done. And in this method we'll use that user service class, right? User service object. So let me inject that user service. So user service user service. We should take this as a private and we'll auto wire that one, right? We'll inject. This is the most common annotations ever we are using, at the rate auto wire, at the rate component. Okay, so we'll use this object and we'll call that method create user, right? Create user, and here we'll return that one, return. So why it's crying? Still it's showing. Okay, I have saved that one, so it's not crying anymore. So we have created a handling method which will add the user. Let's create another method for adding multiple users. Okay, so here we go. Public. It will return list of users. No, list of user and add users. There we go. So here what it will be there, that list of users, right? And users. Again, Control Shift O will take this util list. Always you should be careful while importing those import statement. So again, let's annotate this one with @request body, right? So already I have told what request body will do. So it will bind that incoming JSON to that model data, right? So we have done. Let's call that method on top of that user service object. So create users, and here we have passed that users no, and here we'll return that one. Done. Multiple users done. Let's annotate with this one as a post mapping as well, and that URL what will give, add users. What happening? Okay, add users. Okay, we have done. Then let's write one more method for get users by ID. So public user get user by ID, and here int ID that will receive here, and will take as a path param. Where is path param? Path variable, not path param. And let's annotate this method with @get mapping, and we'll give that URL as well here, user, and we'll give that path param here as a ID. And on top of this user service object, we'll call get user by ID. Okay, here we'll pass this ID. Here we go, and we can return that user. Control Shift F so that it will format that code. Let's again write one more get method for fetching all the users, right? So here we no need and we are not required any path variable or query param, right? So because we are fetching all the users, public list of user, and here use get all users, we can write here as well, get all users. And on top of that user service object, we can call get users, right? So it will return list of users, and let's put it here at the get mapping, and we'll give the URL as a users. So we have done get and add. Then let's do a update. Control Shift F again. So public user update by not update user. Yeah, not by ID, update user, and we'll pass that user here, right? So on again on this object, what we call update user, and here we go. Then here we required at the request body so that it will bind, right? So again here this is object, right? Sorry, update at the put request, put mapping, and we'll pass here update user as a URL. Update user as a URL. Typo error, update user as a URL. Okay, so for update also we have done. Now let's go for a delete method, right? So public string delete user, and here will required what you required, ID required, right? Int ID, and here at the path variable, and here we'll take this object again and we'll call the method delete user by ID, right? And here ID we are passing. Let's annotate this handling method with at the delete mapping, and here we'll pass that URL. Sorry, here we pass that URL. What is that URL? Slash user. Then we can pass this ID as a path variable, right? So everything we have done, right? So add user, add multiple user, get all users, update user, and delete user, right? Finally one thing is left. What is that one? So database configuration things, right? So in memory H2 database, you no need to require anything, any properties to be configured in that application dot properties. It is fine if you are not configuring, but it's better we can configure, right? So let me take those properties from here, and let's put it here, right? So I'm running that server on that port number 9090, and this is that URL. I'm putting it here, and this memory is showing in memory database, and driver class name this one, and username as a SA, and password is nothing is there. And this spring.h2.console.enable equal to true. What it will do? So in h2 database, it's provided a web-based console, so where we can see those data, right? So these are the things. This is the dialect. Let's run that application and we'll test, right? So let me run. Let's run as a Spring Boot application. Let's check. Okay, so it's got started. So let's first create a user. So add user that URL. Let's put. So we got a success 200 response. We can see, right? First I have added a user. Let me scroll a little bit down. So you can see that ID is 1 and this one got created, right? So let me open that H2 database console, right? So by default it will open in that currently localhost 9090 port with H2 console as a URL, right? So JDBC H2, this is that URL and everything. Let's connect. So you can see one user table got created, right? And let's see what are the data are available. Control enter. So you can see one Hyderabad Surya, right? So this data got populated, right? So we have added one record. So let me create multiple users. So add users here, and in that request body, let me take an array, right? So let's take an array and one more object here, right? So let's copy this one and we'll paste it here. So here let me take my name and let's take this Hyderabad as a my native place. Okay, then let's take this one as a some John, and let's take is a what will take USA. Okay, so these two things will hit. So we got a 200 success response. Let me scroll it down. So ID is 2 and ID is 3. With this one it's got generated. So let's check in that H2 console whether those things got populated or not. So sorry, where is that one? Control enter. So you can see those two data got populated, right? Rajnikant and John. So we have done add user and add multiple user. Now let's do a get request. So first we'll fetch all the requests, then by ID we'll do get user, some ID will put, suppose my data I want, I'm putting that ID 2. Let's hit enter, get user. So sorry, that address is wrong, right? It's a user. So we are getting that object details or the data we are getting, you can see here. Now let's fetch all the users, get users. So we'll receive a list of users, right? So one array of users with 3 objects. So you can see those all those data we got received, right? So now let's perform some update. So let me take that URL. So let's go to this controller. What is that URL for update user, and it's a put request, right? So let me take a not post, let me take a put request, and it should not be array, it should be object, right? So it's a response one. Let's take that body, let's update my details. So what is that ID? Let me check. So you can see that ID is 2, right? So let me take here ID as 2, and let me update this address to my office address, Hyderabad, High Tech City, Hyderabad. High Tech City, Hyderabad. Now let's update. So what is asking this one? Okay, here one comma required. Okay, here we go. Uh, let's send. So we got a 200 success response, right? It's got updated. Let's check in the console whether it's got updated or not. Control enter. So you can see High Tech City, Hyderabad. It's got updated. So now let's update a user which ID is not present, right? So we'll will receive a empty response, right? So let's give me id as a 4. This 4 id is not present in our database, right? Let's hit enter. So we got a null response, right? We got a empty response. So update also we have done. Now let's delete a user. So user, and here it should be delete request. Let's delete my record. What is my id? Let's check it from console. It's a 2, right? So let me id 2. Let's hit enter. We got a 404. What is user, right? So let's, okay, so id we need to pass from here, right? So here not required id. I forgot actually that id we should pass as a, we should pass as a path variable, right? So id should be 2. Let me double check again. What is that id? It should be 2, right? Okay, 2. Let's hit enter. We got a 200 response now, right? Just see here. Let's check. Okay, user got deleted. Now let's check in the console whether that user got deleted or not. Control enter. You can see now 2 records are there. My record got deleted, right? So this is the entire example with CRUD example, that Spring Boot with data JPA and H2 in memory database, right? So hope this video will be helpful to you people. So if this video is helpful, please do subscribe my channel and hit a like, and I will really appreciate you if you put some comment in that video comment section, right? So if you have any query, please comment in that comment box of that video section, right? So thank you for watching.